You're watching a Highwire Media podcast. Welcome back to tonight's episode of the Big D Breakdown. That's right, we're talking all things Dallas Cowboys. And this week, the Cowboys held on for a big win in Pittsburgh, so we're going to talk about that. So let's dive into our first topic, and that's 3 winners and 2 losers for the Cowboys' thrilling win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Dallas Cowboys won their second straight game, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 20-17 on Sunday night. After more than an hour and a half delay due to weather, the game was worth the long wait. Despite the bad weather and a mountain of injuries, Dallas overcame it all to take possession of second place in the NFC East right behind the Commanders. The game saw plenty of ups and downs for the Cowboys as the offense only managed 6 points by halftime. Thankfully, the defense kept them within striking distance even without Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. In a game that saw the offense wake up more in the second half, there were plenty of winners after a finish like that. However, some players walked off the field looking more like losers. So right off the bat, number 3 is running back Rico Dowdle. After 4 consecutive games of a running game that looked almost non-existent, the Cowboys' ground attack finally came through. Dallas accumulated 109 total rushing yards, but the real winner was Rico. He finished with 20 carries for 87 rushing yards and averaged 4.4 yards per carry. He also caught a key touchdown pass to give the Cowboys the lead back at the start of the fourth quarter. Rico had been getting more carries the last few games over Ezekiel Elliott, but Sunday night was the breakout game everyone has been waiting for. Fans who had been screaming for this team to activate Dalvin Cook might want to put those feelings on hold for at least one more week. What helped Rico be successful as well as the run game overall was Mike McCarthy changing the type of run plays they were calling. Instead of running a lot of zone reads, the team ran the ball with the quarterback taking more snaps from the center like most have seen over the past several years when the run game helped this team win on a regular basis. If Rico does not fumble at the 1-yard line with the game on the line, one could argue he played a perfect game. The offense needs to have someone separate themselves from the pack as the main guy. Right now, the edge goes to Rico. Number 2, Jalen Tolbert. With Brandon Cooks out for at least the next 3 games, Cowboys need Jalen Tolbert to step up now more than ever. Most have hoped Tolbert would take the next step in 2024, but through the first 4 games he had not helped take pressure off of Lamb. Sunday night was a different story. He led Dallas in receiving for the game with 87 yards on 7 catches. He also did not have any major drops, something he has been struggling with. With Lamb seeing most of the attention all night, Tolbert made the big plays that helped breathe new life in the Dallas offense. What most will remember about Tolbert's night was the final drive. After Prescott recovered Rico's fumble back at the 4-yard line, Dallas had to look to the air to win the game. On 3rd down, Prescott went looking for Tolbert, but did not make a good enough throw to give him a chance. Tolbert actually got up limping after the play and looked like he might have to come out. Instead, he came right back in and caught the biggest pass of his career for the go-ahead score. This is what Dallas is waiting for from Tolbert. They need someone to step up while Cooks is out, and more importantly, make plays in the passing game outside of Lamb. Hopefully this kind of performance will do nothing but boost his confidence as this team continues their tough stretch of games. And number 1, of course, quarterback Dak Prescott. Prescott had another game of ups and downs, but he willied his team in the end. He might not have played a complete $240 million performance, but he made the plays on the final drive to win a close game this team needed. With injuries all over the defense and more piling up Sunday night on the offensive line, Prescott struggled early. The interception he threw at the end of the half was an ugly one. While he and Lamb might not have been on the same page, that is still a mistake most would not expect those two to have at this point of their career together. It did not help when Lamb appeared to be talking to Dak on the sidelines about the play, and the quarterback did not react. Prescott threw another interception in the 4th quarter when his team was trying to build on a narrow 3-point lead. He overthrew Jalen Tolbert, and it was a clear misfire. Needless to say, that's not the kind of throw a franchise quarterback can make. The Cowboys had a solid drive going, and they had found a way to take time off the clock and score anything. The game might have been over. Fortunately, he had a shot at redemption in the final minutes. After the Steelers grabbed the lead back 17-13, Prescott began mounting a game-winning drive. Thanks to Rico and key first downs picked up by Jake Ferguson and others, Dallas had the ball on the 1-yard line. After Dak recovered a Rico fumble, he found Jalen Tolbert for the go-ahead score 2 plays later. Prescott made the plays when it counted in the end. Might not have been glamorous, but it did finish with over 350 yards passing. Everything wrong on this team, fans unrealistically expect Prescott to will the Cowboys to victory every Sunday. Against the Steelers, He did just that. So, while we highlight the winners, we also got to take a look at two losers from the Steelers win. Starting off is safety Donovan Wilson. The Cowboys' defense rose to the challenge, facing Najee Harris and a good mobile quarterback in Justin Fields. The defense held Pittsburgh to just 92 rushing yards, which is not bad considering the numbers they have given up so far this year. However, one of the losers on that side of the ball was Donovan Wilson. Wilson has been a diamond in the rough the Cowboys have found in the 6th round of the 2019 draft. Since his arrival, Wilson has developed a reputation of having a nose for being around the football and making big hits. Sunday night saw a rare lapse for him on a critical drive in the final minutes. With the Steelers down 13-10, Fields got them into scoring range, eating up a lot of the clock. Dallas's defense had been holding their own most of the game, but they all but helped the Steelers take the lead back with penalties. The biggest was committed by Wilson. Fields found George Pickens for a first down on the 3rd down near the red zone. But Wilson hit him when he was already out of bounds, and he was called for unnecessary roughness, and it gave Pittsburgh a 1st and goal. They took advantage and scored 2 plays later. That mistake put the Steelers in prime position to take the lead, and it could have potentially been a game-losing penalty. Dallas once again had double-digit penalties, committing 11 for 87 yards. Even with the backup players out there, that number is still way too high. Dallas overcame them in this game, but every game will not be like that. Wilson needs to make sure he learns from this mistake if he wants to continue being a playmaker for this defense. And of course, number 1, CeeDee Lamb. Yes, Lamb finished with 62 yards, which is still not bad, and yes, the Steelers covered him well, limiting the big plays. What makes Lamb a loser from Sunday night's game is how his attitude was shown to a national TV audience again. After the sideline interaction fans saw against the Ravens, Lamb was silent the rest of the game. He refused to talk to reporters afterwards, and while he did apologize, some were still wondering about his attitude. He had a bounce-back game against the Giants, making a big catch for a touchdown, but virtually sealed the win. However, his frustrations came into full view again. After Prescott threw a critical red zone interception at the end of the first half, Lamb was seen yelling in his direction. While it's hard to determine what Lamb was saying, it did not look pleasant. Sure, Dak did not help his cause by seemingly ignoring him, but Lamb cannot continue to react that way when things go wrong. The Cowboys did not pay him $136 million to scream at his quarterback every time he does not get his way. Dallas has already dealt with its fair share of diva receivers in guys like Terrell Owens and Dez Bryant. The last thing they need is for their new 88 to be more of the same. Yes, Lamb is arguably one of the top 3 receivers in the league, but at this stage of his career, he has to act more mature than that. There are proper ways to fix things like miscommunication. Lamb needs to learn to not let those emotions show too much when there will always be a camera on him. Let me know in the comment section below, is there anybody that you consider a winner or a loser that we missed and should have included? Now on to our next topic. Mike McCarthy finally made a huge play calling tweak that the Cowboy fans have been begging for. McCarthy finally got a bit more imaginative against the Steelers, and it unsurprisingly paid off. It's likely that many are seeing the Dallas 20-17 victory over the Steelers on Sunday night as an ugly one. And that's understandable given the issues Prescott had at times. Thankfully, Prescott's pair of red zone turnovers in the first half resulted in 0 Pittsburgh points. While his 4th quarter interception did lead to a go-ahead touchdown for the Steelers, the NFL's highest paid player stayed cool, calm, and collected while leading the team on a 15-play, 70-yard drive that culminated with a game-winning 4-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Tolbert. And Dak diving onto the football after Rico's fumble at the goal line 2 snaps earlier shouldn't be overlooked, as that heads-up play made the winning score possible. What also shouldn't be overlooked is the performance from the Dallas defense. Already without Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, Mike Zimmer's unit lost rookie Marshawn Kneeland to a knee injury just 4 plays into their first defensive drive. Nevertheless, facing a Pittsburgh offense that had averaged 317 yards of offense through its first 4 games, the Cowboys held the Steelers to 226 total yards. But while the defense was strong, it is the offense where we want to put our focus today. Anyone who watched the Cowboys' first 4 games know that the offense looked rather vanilla. And anyone who scrolled through social media in that first month looking for Cowboys content knows that fans were begging Mike McCarthy to up the shift motion rate in his play calling. Through week 4, per Pro Football Focus, Dallas ranked 24th in the NFL in this metric, using motion roughly 40% of the time. In week 5 against the Steelers, however, McCarthy upped the percentage considerably, and it surprisingly paid off. On Sunday night, Dallas's shift motion rate was approximately 64.5%. Good for 10th among all teams in Week 5, not including the Chiefs and Saints, as these rankings were done ahead of Monday Night Football. Nevertheless, this offensive strategy was a far cry from what we saw from the Cowboys through the first 4 weeks. And again, it unsurprisingly worked. Like any offensive strategy, motion doesn't always work, but when utilized effectively, it can confuse a defense as assignments can change and a quarterback can sometimes see what he's up against. And when facing a defense like the Steelers have, one that can limit and punish an opposing offense in so many ways, throwing in a little confusion can only help. And just how much did it help Dallas? Well, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. Through the first 4 weeks of the season, the Cowboys were the worst rushing team in football, averaging just 75.3 yards per game. On Sunday, Dallas rushed for a season-best 109 yards. The passing numbers went up as well. After averaging 255.5 total passing yards through Week 4, that number was 336 on Sunday. Prescott threw for 352 yards, but lost 16 yards on 2 sacks. Add all that up, and you got a season-high 445 total yards of offense. And that's facing a Steelers defense that was only allowing 261.3 yards per game coming into this match. And let's get real here. While the Cowboys may have only put up 20 points, could have and should have been a lot more. Take away even one of Dak's turnovers in the red zone and the blocked field goal, and Dallas doesn't need the late game drama. This was a much better game for the Cowboys than for which they're being credited, and the change in McCarthy's offensive play calling undoubtedly played a big part in it. As Dallas faces another tough defense in Week 6, as they welcome the Detroit Lions to town, expect to see plenty of Cowboys in motion come next Sunday afternoon. And now on to our next topic. The Cowboys are left with an obvious Ezekiel Elliott decision following their Week 5 win. And this decision has been a long time coming. Not hyperbole to say that the Dallas Cowboys saved their season on Sunday night, losing to an average Steelers team to fall to 2-3 with their current injury list, and the hardest part of their schedule coming could have been a death knell to Dallas's season. Excuse me. Prescott and Tolbert made sure that didn't happen. Granted, Prescott's 3 turnovers were the reason the Cowboys trailed late to begin with, but he came through with the game on the line. That is exactly what the highest paid player in the NFL is supposed to do. While Prescott and Tolbert connected for the game-winning touchdown, Rico was arguably the best player on the field for either team. He rushed 20 times for a career-high 87 yards and caught 2 passes for 27 yards and the go-ahead touchdown in the third quarter. He established himself as the lead back in the previous 2 games. After this performance, Dallas should think twice about having a backfield by committee. They should also think twice about making Ezekiel Elliott active for Week 6 and beyond. Rico has slowly been taking over the Cowboys' backfield, and Mike McCarthy finally took the training wheels off against the Steelers. It's been obvious for a while that Rico is the team's best running back, but it is now clear that he's a volume rusher. He needs to get into a groove in order to wear down a defense. Rico's goal line fumble capsized his rushing grade, but he forced 6 missed tackles in the game, which was tied for the 3rd most of any running back in Week 5. He also had the 2nd most explosive runs of any back. Elliott, who is seemingly battling a mysterious injury, worked as the second back against the Steelers and finished with 6 carries for 17 yards. However, it was Rico and the fullback who saw the most touches on the Cowboys' game-winning drive. Zeke converted a 3rd and 1 on the drive, but that was his only touch. Even more noteworthy, Elliott didn't receive a single touch on Dallas's 16-play, 90-yard touchdown drive in the 3rd quarter that put them in front 13-10. Rico saw 8 touches on the drive, including his receiving touchdown on 2nd and 10, just outside the red zone. While Mike McCarthy trusts Elliott to convert in short yardage situations, it can be argued that he prefers their fullback to Elliott when the offense needs to put up yards in a hurry. That shouldn't surprise anyone, as their fullback is far more dynamic than the elder statesman. Don't expect the Cowboys to cut Elliott outright, but based on what transpired Sunday night, don't be shocked if Zeke is a healthy scratch next week and Dalvin Cook gets elevated from the practice squad. It's been a long time coming. Let me know your thoughts on the ongoing Zeke situation and what you think that Dallas should do with Zeke. And with that, we dive into our next topic. Dak Prescott has joined 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in an exclusive club with its win over the Steelers. Following a nearly 90-minute weather delay at Acrisure Stadium, Dak Prescott Had an up and down performance. The Dallas Cowboys' Week 5 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night. For just the second time in his career, the three-time Pro Bowler committed 2 red zone turnovers in the same game. First, fumbling the football after taking a sack at the end of the first quarter, and then throwing an interception on a pass intended for CeeDee Lamb with less than a minute remaining before halftime. Luckily for Dallas, neither of these turnovers resulted in Pittsburgh points, but Prescott's fourth quarter pick did, as the Steelers scored a touchdown on the ensuing possession to take a 17-13 lead. But Dak didn't let his mistakes get to him, and he calmly led the Cowboys on a 15-play, 70-yard drive over the next 4 minutes and 36 seconds that culminated with a 4-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Tolbert with just 20 seconds left on the clock. Pittsburgh attempted a little pitchy woo-woo as time expired, but to no avail, giving the Cowboys a much-needed 20-17 victory. Sunday night marked Prescott's 38th start in a primetime game, and with the win, he improved his record in such contests to 27-11, giving him a 7.711 winning percentage. As such, he's just the 4th quarterback in NFL history with a winning percentage above 700 in primetime games, and the exclusive club he joined is currently occupied by only 3 others, all of whom are enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. .711, Prescott joins an elite club of quarterbacks that includes Steve Young with 767, Joe Montana at 733, and Peyton Manning at 723. That's some pretty nice company to be among for anyone. What's wild is that Prescott may not be the only one to join the club in Week 5, as Patrick Mahomes joins this list when he leads the Kansas City Chiefs to victory over the Saints on Monday night. Mahomes is currently 23-10 in primetime games, giving him a winning percentage of .697, which would jump to .706 if he can pick up win number 24 on Monday night. As for Dak, he'll get a few more chances to up his mark this season. The Cowboys currently have 4 remaining primetime games on their schedule. Dallas is back on Sunday Night Football in Week 8 with a road matchup against the rival 49ers. Then he'll have 2 Monday Nighters at home in a 4-week stretch, first facing the Texans in Week 11 and then the Bengals in Week 14. The Cowboys are back on Sunday night on December 22nd for a Week 16 matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On to our next topic. Dak Prescott justifies his record contract, an incredible game-winning drive against the Steelers. Dak Prescott delivered with the game on the line. There is no team in the NFL that sets their quarterback up to fail more than the Dallas Cowboys do with Dak Prescott. With just one difference maker at wide receiver and without an impactful running back, Prescott's margin for error is smaller this season than it has ever been. That has made it easy to defend Prescott. However, Prescott made it hard, almost impossible, to defend him with his performance Sunday night against the Steelers. While Prescott authored a statement drive in the 3rd quarter to regain the lead, it was his 3 turnovers, including an interception and a fumble in the red zone, of why the Cowboys even had a deficit to overcome. They could have been up by as many as 2 touchdowns in the first half had Prescott taken better care of the ball. Prescott was essentially making up for his own mistakes, but the Cowboys gave him a record-setting contract before the season to deliver with the game on the line, and he did just that. With Dallas' season potentially hanging in the balance, Prescott connected with Jalen Tolbert on 4th and goal, final minute of regulation for the game-winning touchdown. The Prescott haters were out in full force throughout the game, and rightfully so. Each of his 3 turnovers were worse than the last. His interception in the 3rd quarter came on a needless deep shot while the Cowboys were clinging to a 3-point lead. However, Prescott was paid to make that drive, and he did. Just as folks were ready to put the loss on Dak's shoulders, they should be just as quick to credit him for the game-winning drive. While Prescott marched the offense down the field and hit Tolbert for the game-winning score, he saved the Cowboys bacon a few plays earlier. On 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line, Rico attempted to hurdle into the end zone, but he got speared and fumbled. It was Prescott who was the first to react, and he recovered the fumble and keep the game alive. Split second before the nearest Steeler could jump on it. Prescott gave Cowboy fans the full Tony Romo experience in this one. He wasn't great, but he didn't blink and had ice in his veins when it mattered most. Like it or not, that was a $60 million drive. It was almost the reason Dallas lost tonight. But he is also holding this team together with strings and duct tape. And with that, we're going to take a look at our first quarter awards, LVP, and Rookie of the Year. Dallas Cowboys are trying to overcome their many flaws to prove themselves as a championship contender, despite their status as a 2-2 football team. Mike McCarthy has navigated the team to a few wins, but neither of them was particularly impressive. The Cowboys know they can't afford too many slip-ups in the NFC East that has quickly become one of the most rabidly competitive divisions in the league overnight. The schedule showing some teeth in the near future, the Cowboys need to kick things into overdrive. There are a handful of players who have thrived amid Dallas's shaky start, and they should be heralded for their performance. However, there are a handful of underperforming young players and veterans alike who need to be called out. So, first off, at MVP, we of course have to give it to Dak Prescott. Despite the fact he only has one above-average wide receiver, declining offensive line, and no running game, Prescott has overcome some struggles around him to once again rank as one of the NFL's most efficient quarterbacks. The Cowboys may not win the Super Bowl this year, but they'll have a shot due to Dak's right arm. Of course, least valuable player, Ozzie Smith. In a year where Smith needed to show that he could be a starting defensive lineman for the future, the Cowboys have seen their overall defense regress. Smith's inability to win consistently up front has been the main reason for this decline. Mike Zimmer's scheme has not been kind to the physical marvel from Michigan. He's coming off a career game against the Giants in Week 4, but consistency has been hard to come by for the 2023 first-round pick. And the MIP is Jalen Tolbert. While CeeDee Lamb is the obvious top target and Jake Ferguson is behind him, Tolbert is making his name heard as the number 2 receiver. Brandon Cooks starts to decline. Tolbert has piled up to second most yards and third most catches on the team. The South Alabama product is finally starting to put it all together. With Cooks out this week and potentially longer with a knee infection, Tolbert will get a chance to prove he can be trusted as a number 2. And Rookie of the Year, Cooper Beebe. Cowboys took 2 offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds, but first-round pick Tyler Guyton has been a major problem as he tries to switch over from right tackle to left tackle. Beebe, meanwhile, looks like a rock-solid Tyler B replacement as the former Kansas State guard has been a quality run blocker instantly while holding his own in pass protection. Best newcomer, DeMarvion Overshown. While Overshown was drafted in 2023, he qualifies for this after missing his entire rookie season with a torn ACL. Thrust into an important role immediately, Overshown, who is second on the team in tackles, has flashed impressive speed and playmaking instincts that will make him a cornerstone of Dallas's defense moving forward. And he is one of the most exciting young players in the NFL. Before we move on, let me know your thoughts on the topics we covered in the comments section below. And give us your thoughts on the Cowboys' performance this far into the season. And of course, if you like our content, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification button to be notified of future videos. And as always, thank you so much for watching and listening. And now we're going to shout out our affiliate of the episode, and that is Game Time. As a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, I know there's nothing like being there in person to cheer on our team. And that's why I use Game Time to snag the best seats at the best prices. Whether it's a home game at AT&T Stadium or hitting the road to support the boys, Game Time always has my back with last-minute tickets and unbeatable deals. And here's why I trust Game Time. Last-minute tickets? Decided to go last minute? Game Time has tickets ready to go, even on game day. Best seats at the best prices. With Game Time, I already know I'm getting a great deal. And their easy-to-use app. Finding tickets is as easy as a touchdown pass from Dak to CeeDee. Don't miss another moment of Cowboys action. Download Game Time today, and let's make this season unforgettable. Of course, go Cowboys. And if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thebigd. Your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, be able to pay them. You know, every host deserves to be paid when they come on my show. And hopefully one day take this show on the road. Your support can help make that happen. And whether it's $1, $2, $5, $50, $100, however much you give is very much appreciated, and it goes directly into my channel. It pays for all YouTube expenses outside of paying my salary. So with that, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Go Cowboys.